Alright, here we are in another Stormgate cast, and I'm Algorithmore, and this is my friend Dutchy, the Miasma Abuser. And so far in this patch, he has been abusing the Miasma. He's even abused it against me a few times, and so far that's helped him do quite well in most matchups, and we'll see how it goes this time. I imagine we'll see some more Miasma abuse. His Hexen is scouting the wrong way, and the scout is on her tail. That is the scout of our opponent today, jayxp. And of course, jayxp is a well-known Vanguard player on the ladder, on the Discord, out on Twitch if you've seen his stream. If not, check it out. And even on my channel here, I've cast a handful of his games. So we'll see how he deals with the miasma abuse. Now the scout does make it here. This is, I believe, pretty late. I think that was found the Hexen on the map, chased the Hexen in the wrong direction, gets here, and now it is a Lancer. First Lancer out, comes straight here, and they're fighting a Felhog. Now Felhogs, of course, are free units, so wasting your DPS on them isn't super great. They find the Hexen here and they want to get on top of her. She's cast Skull Shadow on the Lancer. She's trying to stay alive, but it looks like she's going to go down. Yeah, she gets her ass down, but this Lancer might go down too. He's going to run into the main. Oh, there we go. What did the dog do? Killed the Jerboa. That was weird. The Jerboa turned into a ghost or something. But by eating the cabbage, the Lancer gets healed up and is no longer super dire, still pretty low. And I don't know what other than the Hexen kill at the beginning there, I don't think this has done much. On the other hand, jayxp has not lost anything in this exchange either. And eats another cabbage, so really hasn't lost anything, almost including hit points here. But so far these two brutes have been enough to chase back. And again, as these units are engaging with the Felhogs, that's what the Felhogs are for, is just free DPS and free tanking. They basically force the Lancers back, and we see that there we go. Finally the Lancers ignore the Felhog, because it does do DPS, but instead of killing it and just watching another one spawn, you should put your DPS onto the farm itself. The brutes are dancing here, just trying to keep these units out of the base. I don't think they really want to engage. A few of them are low, and with this many Lancers, there's going to be some splash damage almost assuredly. And there we see a full brute kind of move to the front. Another one. Good micro from Dutchy. And yeah, the Lancers don't want to push in much further now because there is indeed a Shroudstone there on the high ground. Ah, so they sent a Bob to the back instead. And yeah, so here he comes in the back. This is not, I mean, spending time on the effigy just doesn't seem, I mean, maybe that was just an A-move mistake. So, like, that's one of the problems with any building, really, but effigies in particular, is they'll take the focus fire. So there it goes down the sentry post, and the brutes are going to go for another sentry post. I get it as well. But the brutes are going down in exchange. There is a single weaver there. They keep getting the sentry post, which I think is good focus fire, but look at that Bob, is very persistent. A lot of those Lancers are low now. Yeah, they're starting to go down. We get a Nightfall Infestation. A Fiend pops out of one of those Lancers. That's always lucky. Considering the Hexen was taken out long ago, getting free Fiends without any gaunts on the map. This has been a brute heavy play with Weavers to support. And we've seen the early Lancer pressure turn now into Hedgehog pressure. As the Lancers have all been taken out. There goes the Bob as well. And now the Hedgehogs are focusing down some of these Brutes. And at least for the meantime, the Hedgehogs will do pretty well against this makeup. Now that's an interesting place for the Shroud Stone there. Yeah, it immediately gets picked off. So does another worker. And, well, so far Dutchy's been able to at least keep the unit production up that he has stuff to constantly be facing off with his pressure. There's not really, he's not losing buildings. He's not losing production or imps. It's just, so far both sides have been just sort of grinding their units into each other. And again, I'll maybe mention this, that this is one of the things I like the best about the new eco is the time to kill and the reinforcement speed match up so that you can have more prolonged engagements like this, although JXP does choose to pull back here and try and do some creeping. Personally, I think if we slowed everything down about 25%, it would be even better. It would give more opportunities for early game, more opportunities for micro of individual units. I think a lot of the micro that is available right now is more microing groups of units. And I'd love to see pullback micro on individuals. Though I have seen that in some engagements. Depends on the matchup. I've seen that in Argent battles, which I think a lot of people think are pretty awful, but I happen to be a fan of. And what we also see here is when we do pull back to these creeping phases that it, there's less engagement, so it's not as interesting in, watching what's going on. And that's another benefit of the new eco, I think, is there's less of these phases. In the earlier eco, there was certainly periods of the game where both sides would retreat to their side and creep their whole side and then maybe engage a little, but then as the creeps respawn, they do it again. Now we see JXP here taking out this camp, which could just be a creeping mission here, but a lot of his units are grouping up here. No, he's pulling back. I thought he might try and push in again. There's a scout fiend and a scout farm here, in case he does. But both sides have gone to creeping, but it is JXP with the lead now. And that might be just due to the choice of Dutchies to stay on this particular composition, which is Brutes. They're kind of slow. You got Weavers, one of the slowest units in the game. Hexen, another slow unit. So he doesn't really want to get caught out of position and too far away from his base. And you can see as he's making this Shroud Highway, that's for his Weavers in particular. Although all the units benefit from the Shroud Skin regeneration. And lots of skulls coming out of Dutchy. He's been playing with this Hexen style for a while, and he's becoming very adept at using the skulls for scouting. He's just trying to spot the army. He's trying to steal this, of course, but he wants to make sure that his engagement with the army is one that he chooses. Sends more skulls out. We see JXP's units triggered one of those mines. Another mine goes off. Only getting 1 or 2 units, which is good. This doesn't look like a good place for JXP to fight, actually. He's a little bit cornered there. But it is Dutchy who pulls back. We don't see any miasmas yet, and I imagine that is because they are not yet up. If miasma was up, we would be seeing it all over the map right now. There we go. Boom. It goes down, and now JXP does pull back. Lancer's still standing in it, but he has to pull back again. And this is where the miasma abuse is going to come in. Boom. Down goes a Vulcan with a nice lash. And JXP with sick micro to keep pulling back, not really being caught in those miasmas at all. There he gets splashed with it. But he doesn't want to stand in it, and I don't blame him. If you stand in the miasma for the full 5 seconds, you're going to take 40% of your damage, or your hit point damage. You do that a couple times and you're dead. Assuming you're taking a little bit of damage elsewise. But even still, if you stand in it for a little bit too long, we see a lot of these exos are low, and that's one of the best things about it is a huge area of effect. So you can get a lot of these little bunched up exos all at once. And then, like I said, if they're getting low, all you need is for a few of them to start popping. Another nice miasma, but again, pull back from JXP there. Another Vulcan added. The medtechs are doing their best to heal those exos back up so they're not low and they're not going to pop. There's one super close. Are you going to pop, buddy? Oh no! Medtech got him just in time. But once again, a lot of them getting caught in that miasma. We do see a Therium Shrine going down. Wasn't sure what that was. Maybe a cabbage. I think there is a cabbage there. We got an Atlas here, although it looks like it's staying here for now as a defensive, in a defensive position. And now it is Dutchy who's got the map control, so he takes the center of the map, sending some skulls out. This one's a little off target. Hellborn being added now. They upgraded? Not quite yet. We got one upgrade for our brutes. The Soul Forge Ascendants, which gives them the armor. Alright, here comes the Miasma Abuser in with his Miasmas. He's going to force these units to zone back, but there are Atlases there. And at least from what I've been hearing, Atlases are a potential counter to the Miasma. And the reason for that is their range is high, so they can nuke the Hexen from far. But there's some really nice Miasma on top of some of those Atlases. They are unfortunately weak against the Miasma because they tend to not want to stand up and move out of it. Couple more Bobs getting caught as they go by there. We hear a few Exos going down as it's now a combination of Miasma and Hellborn Molten Touch. Actually, I don't think the Molten Touch is down yet. But we see that line of Atlases there are actually doing a great job of trying to keep this army back. It's been hard for Dutchy to really get down. There's some more miasmas going down, but it's hard for him to get the miasma on the army as the army keeps pulling back behind the tanks. But now we see Weavers going in with lashes, more miasmas going down. One of those tanks is going to die. And now it's JXP trying to push forward. He's standing in the miasmas. He's just saying, maybe I can get something done with the DPS of my units. But no, a lot of them melt. It's almost all med techs now. They're all standing inside the miasma. And it's just pools of black goo everywhere. There's not much here. It's just Atlases doing their best. But we see even friendly fires they're targeting on Fiends. And bye-bye to the last Atlas, and I think this is probably going to be it. It's only really medtechs in the defense, and we're going to see a miasma on top of these Bobs any second now. It looks like most of these units are just A-moved in. The Hellborn are still on the low ground. Now we have a miasma on some of those units. And that's going to be a GG from JXP.